The clip that was just shown is from a Barbie advertisement that was released last month. The premise of the video is to show that Barbies can be used to inspire young girls to become whatever they desire, and is a part of a massive brand remodeling. Throughout the last couple of decades, Mattel's Barbie brand has become subject to an acute sales problem, resulting from the depiction of an unrealistic body image. In this advertisement, the premise of equality and promoting women to aspire to be prominent in the workplace is noted. This clip is central to the main theme of our presentation, which will seek to determine that the role of feminism within the workplace is becoming more prominent, further comparing the current state of Western feminism to the Third World. Yet, has the true nature of woman in the workspace been changed? The first concept that is introduced by Zalewski is of a woman named Esmeralda who had taken her IUD after the war ended. This centered around the concept that during a time of war, it would have been irresponsible to conceive a child, yet after the war, she once more regained the overwhelming pressure to become a good mother. The concept of the morning after is introduced by Zalewski when she states, "The metaphor of the morning after is an invite to reimagining of how wars, both hot and cold, like love affairs, don't simply end." What happened the morning after feminism? Did something new begin? Or just the continuation of the same old regime? The case of Esmeralda perfectly emulates the struggles that women are subject to on an everyday basis, as there is always a change in the woman's personal and professional expectations. Throughout time, there has constantly been a push for women to adopt a domesticated persona, even if it means abandoning their professional life. An example of a Western outlook on this feminism trend can be linked to the current expectation that during a young woman's youth, she will prioritize her education, often shaming women who are dubbed teen moms. Yet after obtaining education and reaching an appropriate childbearing age, women once more are often subject to the same struggle that Esmeralda was in the previous example. When women reach childbearing age, they often become discriminated against, as employers assume women will soon become pregnant, requiring maternity leave. A third of managers would rather employ a man in his 20s or 30s over a woman of the same age for fear of maternity leave, according to a new study. And additionally, a survey of 500 managers by law firm Slater & Gordon showed that more than 40% admitted they are generally wary of hiring a woman of childbearing age, while a similar number would be wary of hiring a woman who has already had a child or hiring a mother for a senior role. Pregnancy discrimination is immoral, illegal, and completely unacceptable in the Western world. This is still a major aspect of everyday life for women. It seems as though women cannot win. The concept of Western feminism has introduced the premise of women being equally regarded as men and given the same opportunities. Yet there has been numerous cases that demonstrates this. Zalewski provides us with a useful metaphor to examine feminism within IR, and it is directly related to Peterson and Sisson, Runyon's lens metaphor, seeing the world of international politics through an alternative, gendered focus facilitates seeing of depictions of international politics alternative to those conventionally offered. Her metaphor of a lens is useful in analyzing how feminism is depicted in international relations. but also whether it is successful in its various plights. The new Barbie advertisement is an excellent example of how a historically distorted lens has taken on a new dimension while attempting to tackle the difficulties of making changes to otherwise conventional wisdom. Zalewski states that these lenses are graphic depictions of how lenses affect fields of vision, and how women at the bottom of the world politics hierarchy are struggling to make elite men see the world more clearly. The old Barbie depicted an image of a woman that was unrealistic. It encouraged girls to aspire to the stereotypical gender roles made for women to fulfill, to exemplify beauty, sensitivity, and domestication, while the new advertisement encourages women from a young age to seek those career and personal aspirations which are truly intimate to their lives. Another excellent example of the use of lenses in disempowering women historically has been in how the media portrays news stories and what specifically they chose to report on. Cynthia Enloe states that feminism routinely count how many men and how many women are interviewed in a political news story. A ratio of 6 to 1 or 7 to 0 is common. But since 2000, women have broken through this wall of limitations and have taken to social media in order to express their concerns and demand their equality. Enloe states that women have become skilled bloggers, users of Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, and Facebook. These innovations are not dissimilar to suffragists in the early 1900s who set up their own printing presses in order to forward their plight for equality among the genders. An article by Time magazine states that in today's technological age, the hashtag has become exponentially powerful among feminists. Organizations in the Western world employing strategies and campaigns such as the hashtag Why I Stayed campaign shortly after the Ray Rice domestic violence case, and the Yes All Women campaign, which promotes women to share cases of misogyny and violence against women. Lenses are also beginning to change with regards to women in power positions. And this has allowed certain women to rise to the positions of power that have historically been unheard of. However, there is still considerable room for improvement in this area. A recent study demonstrates Americans still prefer a male to a female boss. By 2013, 41% of Americans preferred a male boss to 23% preferring a female boss. The article by The Guardian also suggests that the explanation may in fact be psychological. Both women and men unconsciously view men as leaders and women as followers, so that when a woman is promoted to senior leadership, she disrupts unconscious collective norms. And this may be one of the ways that lenses, although gradually changing, still serve as an impediment to women in their personal and career aspirations. So there have been some changes to these gendered lenses, which help us to see where feminism is currently, but the question now must be, where is feminism going? Zalewski touches on Alice in Wonderland. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to. Feminism, making its debut in IR through the 1980s, has made great strides towards promoting equality between the sexes, and as Zalewski notes, housewives, fishwives, film stars, mothers, and sex workers all began to make an explicit appearance on the IR scene. Excellent examples of these great strides have been the women which have risen to power in the world of politics, such as presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff. Additionally, women in pop culture have marked their presence in a way that has been unprecedented in the world, with figures such as Oprah Winfrey, Beyonce Knowles, and Ellen DeGeneres making their way to the Forbes Top 100 of the world's most powerful women list. And finally, the Barbie advertisement displayed earlier, which demonstrates perhaps a potential direction in which the Western feminist movement is headed, towards the alteration of the path and the aspiration towards a more aggressive demand for equality using grassroots approach. Girls are the target market. But is this where feminism is truly heading? Or is this only the image that is given to us by mass media? Is the truth that women in the most powerful political and social positions in the world are indicators of the direction of feminism in the global political system? Post-colonial feminism doesn't seem to think so. Post-colonial feminism is a form of feminism that arose in response to the Western conceptualization of feminism, which holds that the focus, whether advertent or inadvertent, is solely on the experiences of women in the Western culture. Post-colonial feminism arose as a critique to the feminist theories of the developed world, and the problems it addresses can be found throughout literature. Throughout the world, both locally and globally, have evolved a plethora of transitional feminist-based organizations, which seek to promote equality throughout all walks of life. Just a few examples of these are Women Living Under Muslim Law, International Network of Women in Black, Our Bodies, Ourselves, Global Network, and Women's Initiative for Gender Justice, to name a few. Interestingly, though, we never hear about these organizations. And why, you may ask? Cynthia Enlow responds by stating that editors, mainstream experts, and academics employ several strategies to dismiss the value of these groups' impacts. One way they do this is by dismissing them as representing only a special interest group, and by contrast, the international experts are only interested in the big picture, and their actions therefore are perceived only to demonstrate their self-interests. Another reason is that arenas of politics that these groups seek to espouse are local in nature, as opposed to the significant global causes that the media is interested in. Ultimately, narrow understandings of security to the lack of representation of these groups in the media. The fact that many of the world's most progressive and forward-thinking organizations seeking to empower women are the most underreported organizations in the mass media may be an indication that the way feminism is headed may not be the direction it should be headed. Furthermore, the new Barbie advertisement demonstrates that the empowerment of women through the Western conceptualization is pervasive enough throughout the Western world, encouraging women not to adhere to traditional gender stereotypes but instead to aspire to higher ambitions. But from a global perspective, can women truly be what they want to be? Or is this a limited notion that's restricted to the West and made consumable by the masses? So I guess the question is not, is this what feminism looks like? But rather, is this what feminism should look like?